We have got ourselves a pretty fun slate for tonight in MLB DFS. We got Shane Bieber, Yu Darvish, Walker Buehler, Freddie Peralta. Decent value arm I like, a decent amount, and Brady Singer too. So you can kind of pick the way you want to go for MLB DFS for tonight. There is not a ton of weather concerns, so we're feeling good, ready to win some money for tonight in MLB DFS. Welcome on in to the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to take your questions for the next half hour and get you set for tonight's slate of MLB DFS. No matter where you are watching this stream for today, you can get your questions in. We can talk about pitching. There's a lot of pitchers to discuss. We can talk stacks, value plays, one-offs, MLB DFS process, whatever is on your mind, get those questions in. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter will take questions from everywhere to get you set for tonight. Now, before we get too deep into this slate, did want to mention that tomorrow, modified show, because the late slate for baseball is trash. It looks like if the main slate is the last two games, it'll be a two-game slate. Otherwise, I think they could make the main slate be the early games. Not really sure there, but the late games are pretty bad. So instead of talking baseball tomorrow, I'm going to bring on Tom Vecchio. I'm going to ask him questions about NBA DFS. We'll talk about that slate and get you set for that. We can talk some NBA there. I need to get some help from Tom anyway, so we'll talk to Tom tomorrow. Same time, 4 p.m. I can talk a little bit of baseball there if you want to talk about the two-game late slate, but the general focus will be NBA DFS. That is 4 p.m. tomorrow, but for today, we actually have a pretty good slate to discuss. Let's dive on and break this down here. Right now, my top pitcher for today is Yu Darvish facing the Pirates. I don't like to make decisions based on matchups, but I think that it's okay when the guys are in the same tier. And to me, I think that Darvish and Bieber are. Darvish this year, 33% strikeout rate, 3.12 skill interactive ERA, not too many walks, not too much hard contact allowed, and facing just a pretty weak Pirates team. 74 WRC plus against righties, a 24% strikeout rate. I am very okay bumping up a pitcher when the matchup is as good as that. That's not to say that Bieber's off the map, though. I think that Bieber is not a cash game play. I prefer Darvish there for sure, but I would assume, based on the way people tend to view the Pirates, that everything from a popularity perspective will gravitate towards Darvish, which it should. Again, he's my top-ranked pitcher for today. But if that means that Bieber might be less popular than he usually is, I think that there is an incentive to potentially go at Shane Bieber for tournaments. I'm not going to rank him above Darvish in tournaments, but I think that I would like to be overweight on Bieber relative to the field, just because I could see a situation where he slips too much through the cracks from where he should be. As you can see here, a 2.52 skill interactive ERA this year, 40% strikeout rate. Facing the Royals, not a super high strikeout team, but they do have some guys who will whiff. Not a super imposing matchup either. So straight up, I prefer Darvish. But I think there is some incentive to be high on Bieber for tournaments. So I think, like, for single entry, maybe you do go Bieber there. I think that's at least worth considering under the assumption people go Darvish over him. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of Bieber talk today as well. Let's go over to the heat map here on numberFire and see if the betting data is heavily skewed towards Darvish. Because if it is, yeah, it is. So I would bet that Darvish is like 15 percentage points more popular, more rostered than Bieber. I think that maybe there's an edge going Bieber in tournaments just because people will likely go Darvish's way. Other options, I think Buehler is number 3 for me. Facing the Cubs, a lot of barrels allowed in this 3-start sample with his cutter usage being up, but good strikeout rates. The Cubs will strike out as well. Actually, a higher strikeout matchup than what Bieber and Darvish have. So that sets up well for Buehler. Probably not going to be as popular, given that the betting data not as heavily skewed towards Buehler as it is the other guys. So I think that there's some reason to like Buehler. The reason I think that I'm not going to go Buehler in a cash game or a tournament for tonight is that I just feel like he's an actual tier below the other options. So when there actually is a full tier difference between one pitcher and the next, it's harder for me to deviate and view them as being like an under the radar type play. I think the Buehler actually is a tier below them. So I think that, to me, I'd rather go with those guys. Freddie Peralta facing the Phillies. He does walk a lot of guys. He does let up hard contact. That's pretty scary, but I still think he's worth considering because the strikeout rate is so high. So for me, the pitchers are ranked Darvish 1, Bieber 2, Buehler 3, Peralta 4, but I think that all those guys are worth using for tonight. Question from Mateo. If Alex Kirilloff is in the lineup versus Texas, could I play him? You would have, but he's on the IL. He just got hurt. He was sliding into second base on Monday night and jammed his wrist. So he's going to go on the injured list. Miguel Sano is back. They're facing Hyun-Jung Yang, and I think that's a good situation to go with the Twins. And honestly, like, Sano was broken at the plate before he went on the injured list, and I'm not super optimistic that he will come back and be, like, anything good. But you know, he's probably going to be super low salary given that he's just coming off the injured list. Let's pull up the Twins' salaries here. Scroll down to Sano, $2,500. I think it's at least worth considering just because Young projects to be such a low strikeout guy. Maybe that can push Sano into being relevant. I'm not saying actively seek him out. I think that's probably a bridge too far, but I do think that there is some incentive to be interested in him, I would say, just because Young is a lefty, probably going to be a low strikeout guy. Those are things that could allow us to feel good about Miguel Sano, despite his massive imperfections and the fact that he was, again, broken at the plate before he went on the injured list. Let's go over here and plug in Darvish and try to tinker with the Twins lineup because their lineup is in. We'll put Darvish in there. We're going to go to the Twins and see what we have cooking over here. See if Kyle Garlick batting cleanup. I'll take that for sure. He was on the COVID IL, but came back a couple days ago. They haven't used him a whole lot, and I would worry about pinch hitting, but just because, like, I think with Kirilloff on the IL, Arise on the IL, they don't have as many lefties as usual. I think the Jake Cave is still like a risk. Yeah, because he's not starting for today. We could see Jake Cave come in for Garlick, but I think that Garlick decently safe. He is minimum salary, batting cleanup. I think that works quite a bit. Mitch Garver batting fifth at $2,700, finally getting his groove back for the first time in like a year and a half already. So Garver interesting as well. That gives us 30.83 left for the final couple spots in our stack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Donaldson at third base to get me one guy, and then either Buxton or Cruz, whichever you have the salary for. I prefer Buxton, obviously. He's the best player in baseball, obviously. He's also the thumbnail for this YouTube video. So I'm going to go Buxton, $2,750 left. Normally that'd be pretty tough. But for today, I actually think it's pretty doable given that the Brewers are, I think, in a good position. So let's talk about the Brewers here. Jesus asked about the top stacks and one-offs. So Twins are great for one-offs because you have Garlick as a one-off, Garver as a one-off, but then also you can stack them by going Donaldson, Cruz, Buxton, et cetera, et cetera. I think the Brewers are a good stack. They're a bad team. They're a very bad offense, but they're facing Chase Anderson. Anderson, a 4.90 skill interactive ERA this year, 19% strikeout rate, a lot of barrels allowed, and he allowed a lot of barrels last year too. So I think that's probably sustainable. He looked good in his last start. I think he had 5 or 6 strikeouts against the Mets. So he was looking better, but I'm still willing to stack against him even with a bad team because he gets us a lot of salary relief, or they do, I should say. So let's clear out the Twins here. Keep Darvish locked in there and go over to the Brewers and see what we have from a stacking perspective on that. So I know that my guy, Luis Urias, is not in there for today, which is a bummer. I was pretty excited to build around him at $2,500, but oopsies, clicked on him anyway. Dan Vogelbach, actually in the lineup. Vogelbach has not started a lot of games this year, and with someone like him, I want to make sure he's going to stay in the game if he starts. But the way we can do that is go to Baseball Reference, click on Game Logs, or scroll over Game Logs, click on Batting Game Logs for 2021, and we want to see if he's staying in the games when he starts. So he went to the 7th inning there, 9th inning there, 7, 9, 9, complete game. 9, 7, complete game. That's good. 6, 6. So he went 6 innings a couple of times earlier this offseason. More recently, though, Vogelbach has been playing entire games. Let's actually check out the Brewers lineup here. I think that this could be like a desperation type thing just because their offense hasn't been that good since the start of last year. So If he's been playing more regularly, I'd feel better about using Vogelbach as an actual option for DFS. Didn't play there against the lefty, but against righties, he's actually been starting pretty regularly. And assuming with Keston Hiura being down now, maybe that makes it a lot more dependable for Vogelbach to stay in the entire game. I would feel okay about him, given that he is going to the 9th or 7th inning most times. I don't think he's like a priority because he could get yanked. Like, let's say the Phillies the Phillies bring out a lefty. Maybe they decide to go to the bench and take out Vogelbach. That's a risk. So I don't want to be super into him. But let's pull up the numbers here on Vogelbach, see what he's been doing this year versus righty. I think this is just this year. Yeah, just this year against righties. Vogelbach has a 40% hard hit rate, 154 ISO, not a ton of strikeouts. So there's enough there where I can feel okay using him. So I think we're going to put Vogelbach in there and just kind of cross our fingers that he stays in the entire game. Another potential value play is Jackie Bradley Jr. Just wanted to see if there's anyone else. Okay, so let's pull up Jackie Bradley Jr. 31% hard hit rate, 37% fly ball rate. More strikeouts than you would hope. That's a little bit disappointing. 129 ISO is okay, but not great. Let's check out the barrel numbers here for JBJ. See what he has done from that perspective. Get a home run off their bullpen last night after the Phillies bullpen fiasco. Sorry, Phillies fans. Don't want to bring that up. 4.5% barrel rate for Bradley, down from last year and actually down from the past couple of years, which means maybe that does come up a bit for him. Let's check out the ground ball rate on Bradley to make sure we're not getting anything. I scroll past it. Ground ball rate, 44%, so better than last year. Okay. I think that Bradley is in play. Batting 6th, $2,200, not the worst batted ball data. That gets us to 3083 left. And remember, our target goal at the Twins, if we had Buxton in there, was about 2750. We have Vogelbach and Bradley in there at 22 and 25, which means we're probably looking around $3,000, around the high 2,000s for our final two guys in the Brewer stack if you want to go Twins and Brewers, which means we're looking at, honestly, anyone. You got Kane, Wong, Shaw, and Garcia. Let's go to the numbers here versus righties this year. The mayor of Ding Dong City, 195 ISO, playing pretty well. Okay, I like that. We're going to plug in Travis Shaw. Oops, we're going to put him at third base. Don't want him in the utility. Perfect. Okay, which means we have one more slot here for another Brewer. So we're choosing between Kane, Wong, and Garcia. And okay, so we got Garcia at a 31% hard hit rate. Not a lot of fly balls. That's kind of his MO. Underwhelming, I would say. Wong, 224 ISO. That's interesting. Is that real? Let's pull up the barrel numbers on Colton Wong here to make sure that's interesting. Didn't know that he was hitting for so much power so far this year. I mean, it's 2 home runs, but the ISO's not bad. 5.8% barrel rates. Got some stolen bases. Okay, I can kind of work with that, but we don't want to count out here Lorenzo Cain. Had a massive bomb a couple nights ago. Very small sample, but a 357 ISO. Check out the barrel numbers on Lorenzo Cain. Kind of interested in these top two guys here for the Brewers between Cain and Wong. I wasn't expecting to be as enamored. 12.5% barrel rate. That's a massive deviation than what he did in the past. So probably not going to stick, but it's not bad. So honestly, I think you could kind of go with either Wong or Kane, depending on what you have from a salary perspective left. I don't know. It's tight. I might go Wong just because second base tends to be harder to fill for me. So if we go with that, we do need to fill shortstop. That's potentially tough because I'm not super into Jorge Polanco, but we can work with that. So I think the Brewers, despite the fact that my guy Urias is not in there, still a good stack for today. So the Brewers helping us a lot in getting to Yu Darvish and stacking the Twins, maybe getting one of Cruz or Buxton. That's very doable given the way the Brewers and the Twins lineups look. Alvin, like any of the Rangers or the A's? The Rangers righties are not bad. Facing Lewis Thorpe, pretty rough numbers for him. The numbers I have on Thorpe are for his, I believe this is since the start of last year. Let me see here. So since the start of last year, it's not, a big sample, but not a lot of strikeouts, not the best batted ball data. Let's go to his FanGraphs page and see. I didn't have it linked in there, so let's go to Lewis Thorpe. I have to close all these tabs. Sorry, I don't want to give everyone like, I guess you can't see my tabs. Like, I don't want to give anyone like massive anxiety based on the number of tabs I have open. So let's close out this. I'm being so messy here. Okay, let's go to Lewis Thorpe. Good ground ball rate this year, but it's a 5-inning sample. Don't care about that. Full career over 49 innings, 38% ground ball rate. Nothing to worry about there. 12.3% barrel rate last year. Not a lot of strikeouts. So I would say the Rangers righties will be an option. Let's see if their lineup is out yet. Indeed it is. Connor Falefa, we talked ourselves into a couple nights ago. Solak's been good. Adolis Garcia's been good. Andy Ibanez. Let's pull up his numbers here. See what we're working with there. Actually, let's make sure he's in the FanDuel player pool first, just because I've gotten bitten by that a couple times. Okay, so Ibanez is, and he is minimum salary, playing second base. Okay, that's a couple of ticks in his favor. 28 years old, but okay power numbers back in 2019 in AAA. Not a high strikeout rate. They're batting in sixth. That to me probably says that they have a good amount of confidence in him. He is a right-handed batter. I'll take that. So maybe you consider Ibanez as a min-salary second baseman. He helps offset some of the salaries on guys like Connor Falefa, who's at $2,900. Garcia's $31,000. That's like that. It's not outrageous. Solak $3,000. So I think that, yeah, the Rangers are in play. I really don't like using them against lefties because they're hideous. Truly terrible. Looking at the numbers here since the start of last year, 87 WRC plus, so many strikeouts. They're really bad, but Thorpe doesn't get strikeouts. So I would say Alvin, the Rangers are in play. The A's, also an option facing Robbie Ray. His batted ball data has gotten a lot better this year, so I'm not like enamored with stacking the A's. Also, cooler temperature for them. Same thing with the Twins, so that's a mark against them. But I think they're okay. I would rank them below the teams we discussed today. So I'd prioritize like the Braves over them. I'd prioritize the Astros over them as well. But like I think the A's are options. So Alvin, I'm okay with both the Rangers and the A's. I'd probably prioritize the Rangers just because Thorpe is going to let up more balls in play than Robbie Ray will. Both are fine though. I think that if you were drawn towards them, not opposed, but I would rank the other teams above them. So Twins above them. Brewers above them, Braves above them, Astros, Rangers, the Yankees kind of borderline, I would say, between them and the Rangers. But the Rangers have some good value plays, which do help us out there. Jesus, is Ohtani worth both spots, pitching and hitting? So he's only available as a hitter tonight on FanDuel. As you see the little pop-up box here. He was announced as being the starter pretty late. It was originally Andrew Heaney, and they changed to Ohtani late. And it was after the slate was up. So they decided, I guess, not to add him as a pitcher in the player pool. So Ohtani just a hitter for today. Let's see who they're facing. They are facing Ryan Yarbrough. It's actually an opener. The Rays have an opener, but that means that Ohtani facing a lefty, which he's fine against. Like he doesn't hit as many fly balls against lefties, but he's still fine. But the issue that I have with Ohtani is that he's probably going to leave the game early, given that he's only in there as a batter until he leaves the game as a pitcher. Let's actually go to Ohtani and check out the game logs here. We're going to check out his game logs, specifically in the games he has started, and see how many plate appearances he is typically getting in those games. I believe he's hit in 2 out of the 3 games he has started as a pitcher so far this year. Game logs for 2021. Okay. So, yeah, believe that's one of the games that he started is when he left in the 6th. So, yeah, and he left in the 5th there. So he's gotten 4 plate appearances and 3 plate appearances. I would say I'd be pretty wary of Ohtani as a hitter for tonight just because like you have that concern of when he leaves, things are going to be pretty gross. So I probably wouldn't use him, Jesus. But like Shohei Ohtani can beat anybody. He's a very good player. He can pay off in 1 plate appearance because he's that good. I personally value guys who are going to play the whole game, though, and Ohtani won't be doing that for tonight because he's working as both a hitter as a pitcher. If you're playing somewhere where you can use him as a pitcher, I probably wouldn't go there either just because the walk rate's super high. Go over to the pitching tab here. A 21% walk rate so far this year. A lot of strikeouts, but the reason I care about the walk rate, I don't care about the base runners. I care about the pitch count because every walk you issue is at least 4 pitches. Tends to be more than that in general. So that's a concern because he's leaving games pretty early. As you saw, he left in the 5th and the 6th inning and the other times that he started. Let's check out the length of the games he's been going so far. He stretched out from like a pitch count perspective. He went 80, I think, his last time out, 95 or something like that. A couple of starts before that. Pitching game logs for Ohtani, 4 2/3, 4 and 5. That's not super deep into games, even though his pitch count is fully worked up. So I wouldn't go there personally as a pitcher or a hitter, but that's not anything against like Ohtani as a player. It's because I worry about the length. You know, once he leaves that game, you're not getting any more points. I know we don't get a ton of points against bullpens, but like I'd still like the chance at them, and we're not going to get those here. Man, he's so good. Look at those hitting numbers. That's disgusting. Okay, we can stop drooling over Shohei Ohtani now, but for DFS for tonight, personally, I'd probably be staying away. The other pitcher we talked about this morning, like let's say you want to go with Buxton, you want Cruz, you want to load up on the Twins and not use the Brewers, which fully valid, I get it. The person you could go to outside of Peralta, who is $9,000, is Brady Singer. Let's pull up the numbers here. His last start is pretty bad. He went just 2 innings, left after getting struck on the line drive. It went off his heel, and I believe it was caught in the air. Just a bad turn of events for everyone involved. But overall this year, even including that bad start, 26% strikeout rate, 3.76 skill interactive ERA. He gets ground balls. If you can get strikeouts and ground balls, that's the recipe for a really good pitcher. And Singer is kind of doing that. His velocity is up this year. So I think it's interesting. Singer is facing Cleveland, which means he's facing Shane Bieber. That means his win odds are going to be pretty low. Let's pull up the money line here for the Royals. I can't see his name. Okay, here we go. They are plus 134. So obviously, if you're looking like just for the win, probably not going to get it. Shane Bieber's really good, and that lowers his win odds, but like he can deal. He can get some strikeouts. He can pitch pretty well. So if you want to go value and just spend down, I think that Singer is your best option there. I do like Peralta at 9,000, so not a huge gap between those two guys, but let's just experiment here. Let's clear this out. Let's go get rid of the Rangers. Go over here, go to the pitching tab. Let's lock in Singer as the pitcher. We would have 34.50 left. So let's go to the Twins here. Go over to the outfield. We're going to put in both Cruz and Buxton. Buxton, Cruz, 3,200 left. With the rest of the Twins lineup, like you can go there and feel really good about the rest of your team. So that makes it easy to get to the Braves. You can go Acuna if you want to stack the Braves. I think the Braves are my third rank option, given that they're facing Eric Fedde. I'd expect Fedde's strikeout rate to come down. We go Acuna, 29-80 left, and give them the other Twins options. That's pretty easy to do. So if you want to go full stud, get Cruz, Buxton, and Acuna. Actually, let's see Freeman too. Why not? Let's go all out. 2,800 left. We can make that work, given the other Twins, given the other Braves. So if you want to have some fun, which I'm always down for, I think that Singer's pretty good. I would make sure you have limited exposure just because the odds that he outscores like Bieber and the other guys and Darvish and stuff like that, the odds are pretty low, but I still think that it's fun. So I am okay going Brady Singer for today with a couple of lineups, seeing what happens. He's a good pitcher in a good spot against Cleveland. So I would say if you want to have some fun, Singer's okay. I think you do that fun lineup with Peralta too, just because like Garlick and Garver are so cheap on the Twins. But I think Singer is an option as well. So a good way to have some fun for tonight. Permissible is the way I would say it with regards to Brady Singer and Freddie Peralta. That is all the time that we have for today. But as mentioned tomorrow, a little crossover episode. Like, it's not the Avengers. We're not that cool. I'm not going to, although my grandfather was named Thor, so maybe we're kind of like Avengers. Tom Vecchio and I teaming up on this Q&A. He'll be taking questions around NBA DFS for that slate. I'll try to learn from Tom because, as we mentioned with Devontae in the past, I know nothing about NBA. So Tom will educate me. We'll talk some NBA DFS tomorrow here. Same place, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern on the YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter streams for FanDuel. If you have additional questions for me before then, I am on Twitter at JimSanis, JimSaNnes. You can also follow the FanDuel Podcast Network at FanDuel Podcast for a lot of good stuff there. Just put up a podcast with Kevin Cole of Pro Football Focus, talking some division betting and win totals after free agency and the NFL draft. Big thank you to Calvin Theobald, our video producer, for running the video side of things here today. Thank you, Cal, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you with your MLB DFS lineups for tonight. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow for some NBA with Tom. This has been the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A.